Chapter 2, Mishnah 1. The second chapter discusses the rules of Bittul Barov, nullification by majority, as they apply to Orlah, Kilel HaKerem, and holy foods, Teruma and the meat offerings. Prohibited items that become mixed with permitted items become batel, nullified, in a simple majority. For example, if one prohibited item falls into two permitted items, and we cannot tell which one is the prohibited one, all three may be used because the prohibited item has become nullified, lost its prohibited status, through its mixture with the larger number of permitted items. The situation is more complicated when it comes to food mixtures, because the prohibited foods adds its forbidden flavor to the mixture as a whole. Therefore, food mixtures require more than a simple majority to nullify the prohibited food in them. There must be so much more permitted food that someone eating the mixture would not taste the flavor of the prohibited food. When this cannot be determined, we generally require 60 times more permitted food than prohibited food to permit the mixture, since most flavors cannot be detected in these proportions. The first Mishnah teaches that there are certain kinds of holy foods and prohibited foods that are subject to a higher standard and do not become batel, nullified, in a simple majority or even in a mixture of 60 to 1. We now turn to the words of the Mishnah. Teruma, smaiser, demai, chala, and bikurim all become nullified in a mixture of 101 parts, i.e. a mixture containing one part of these holy foods together with 100 parts of chulin, ordinary food. It takes 100 parts of chulin to nullify one part of teruma or any of these other holy foods. Once they become nullified, the mixture may be eaten by anyone, even someone who's not a Kohen. And they combine with one another to prohibit the mixture into which they fall. If two or more of these types of holy foods fall into permitted food, they combine to prohibit the mixture to non-Kohanim unless there is 100 times as much permitted food as all the holy foods combined. But even in a case where they become nullified, he must remove from the mixture the amount of holy food that fell in and became nullified and give it to a Kohen. Since Terumas Meiser, Chala, and Bikurim belong to the tribe of Kohanim, keeping the part that became nullified would be like stealing from the Kohanim. The Mishnah now discusses the nullification bitul of prohibited produce, specifically Orlah and Kilei HaKerem. Orlah and Kilei HaKerem, Kalaim of the vineyard, become nullified in a mixture of 201, i.e., in a mixture containing one part of these prohibited foods and 200 parts of ordinary food. It takes 200 parts of permissible food to nullify one part of Orlah or Kilei HaKerem and permit the mixture to be eaten. And they combine with each other to prohibit the mixture into which they fall. If both Orlah and Kilei HaKerem fall into permitted food, the mixture may not be eaten unless there is 200 times as much permitted food as the both of them together. And in a case where they do become nullified, he does not need to remove anything from the mixture, since no one has any monetary claim to them. Another Tana disagrees. Rabbi Shimon says, Orlah and Kilei HaKerem do not combine because they are different prohibitions with different names. According to Rabbi Shimon, only prohibitions that at least share a common name can combine with each other. According to the first Tana, Orlah and Kilei HaKerem combine with each other to prohibit a mixture. According to Rabbi Shimon, they do not combine to prohibit a mixture. The Mishnah now cites a third opinion. According to this next Tana, Orlah and Kilei HaKerem sometimes combine to prohibit and sometimes they do not. It all depends on what type of mixture they fall into. Rabbi Eliezer says, Orlah and Kilei HaKerem combine to prohibit a mixture when it comes to giving flavor, i.e., when they fall into the type of mixture in which their flavors can spread through the entire mixture and be tasted. This occurs in a wet mixture. For example, where wine made from Orlah grapes and Kilei HaKerem grapes falls into water, or when Orlah fruit and Kilei HaKerem fall into a pot of food that is being cooked. In such a mixture, if the flavor of the two of them together can be tasted, the mixture is prohibited. But they do not combine to prohibit a mixture in regard to needing 200 to 1 to nullify them, i.e., when they fall into the kind of mixture in which their flavor does not spread through the mixture, a dry mixture, Orlah and Kilei HaKerem, do not combine to need 200 times more permissible food to nullify both of them together. As long as there is enough to nullify each of them separately by a margin of 200 to 1, they both become nullified. It is not necessary to have 200 times more than both of them together.